All right, welcome into How About Wow. I'm Gavin Dawson. We have a Cowboys-Packers game coming up Sunday night. We got all the angles, including what the heck did Jerry Jones say? If he was a player, I think they would be livid at him. I think the coaching staff would be furious if Jerry Jones was a player, but he's the owner and general manager. So what did he say? Why did he say it? And is he kind of right? Let's talk about it here. Take it away, Jimbo.
The only thing else I got to say is, how about this, Cowboys?
Yeah, buddy, I'm Gavin Dawson from 105.3 The Fan, G-Bag Nation, 2 to 7 every weekdays, and I'm actually live from the Spring Hill Suites in Houston, Texas, right down the street from the old Compact Center here. Getting in the weight room, had to find somewhere quiet to get this pod done. New Bear, how the heck you doing today, buddy?
Are we going to show the good people your 225 bench test? Is that going to happen on camera? Yes, sir. Let's go.
Man, I mean, maybe I could bench 125 right now. But if you want it, I'll give it to you. You know,
Kevin Durant at the NBA Combine. You're playing a different sport.
Yeah. Here's what Jerry Jones had to say with our midday show, the KNC Masterpiece, and I mean it's bulletin board material times 10. I want to talk about that angle, but also is he making points here, New Bear? Let's do
About
this.
it, Micah is special, and we all know he is, and he can be disruptive. But we have huge amounts of experience with the anecdotes that we've seen used on us for the last 4 years.
Right.
And while he does make great plays, there is also a way to approach playing against Micah, as we know, because we didn't exactly win the Super Bowl during those years. So bottom line is, when I look at playing him, I think of trying to have him as an advantage when we were playing other teams over the last 4 years. And some plays it looks beautiful, but then other plays, especially running plays, you can wish you'd have had a different formation.
All right, leave a comment down below if you have thoughts on Jerry Jones giving Mike and the Packers just the extra bulletin board material. Maybe he's trying to fire his team up and give them some confidence, give them a reason to believe. Maybe he's trying to sell the fans. I'm not sure. But again, point holds. I think if a player or coach said this, there'd be hell to pay from somebody keeping him accountable. What do you think?
The tweets and some of the other stuff that was going around where Jerry had a little bit of gumption, bravado, whatever you want to call it, where he's saying things like, don't think we can't get these guys, especially at home. Come out and support us. We'll be ready to go. Like, there was such good messaging on brand for the brand. Brand is brand is brand. And if that is true, then you can't deny if you let him talk long enough, he's going to put that boot right in his mouth.
Oh, no doubt about it. And Jerry I don't know if he can help himself. He's just going to make things spicy, and if he starts talking and isn't sure what to say, and that thought bubble goes into his brain, boom, out it comes out. I don't know, how much intentionality goes into this, but I do think at the same time it's real, Brian. New Bear, that Micah's lack of run stopping ability makes it a bad deal at $45 million. I think the Packers are going to have a real hard time building a contender around him after these first couple of years with Micah, unless their drafting is impeccable, and maybe that applies to every team. But, I do think there's something to be said for Myles Garrett and TJ Watt do both. They're going to be the best pass rusher in the game, and they're also going to help their teammates stop the run. And with the current NFL trends going back to more running and power running in particular, I think Micah was part of the liability of the Cowboys' run defense at times.
Well, the thing that's so crazy about TJ Watt in particular is that when you look at the run charts of the other team, it's all opposite 90. I mean, it is literally left if he's on the right, and it's 100 out of 100 times. And the thing about that is it buys you time in a $40+ million paycheck world where if you're not getting home and affecting the game via sack department, strip sack, fumbles, all the things that come with getting home, then you could still completely destroy a team's game plan just by a run. And the thing about Micah and guys like him that are going to get schemed against is that their sacks are going to come in bunches. There's going to be some years where their numbers look exactly the same, but all those numbers came in just a handful of games. So what's going to be really interesting Sunday night, and can I just tell you again, that Sunday night football, I love, when I was a kid, it was Monday night football because, it was always like 49ers, right? Going back to your childhood, it was always the two best teams and it was the last game of the week. That's not always the case anymore, right? Sometimes the Monday night matchups, or by the time you get to Monday night, Sunday night after a whole day of football, particularly when it starts at 9:30 a.m. in Dublin with the Steelers and then culminates with this storyline, with this narrative, and then Jerry literally went to Home Depot and bought every flammable thing in the store and threw it on the fire. Like, come on, man, let's go.
Yeah. I mean, the ratings are going to be outstanding. I think, what Jerry just did is akin to like a boxing press conference, and Jerry's a big fight fan where you get the boxers up there and they talk spicy to one another. It is a little bit different in a team sport. I do also want to say that Jerry talking like this isn't the end of the world. It's not the biggest reason they haven't won the Super Bowl. It's probably not even in the top 5. You can look at their cap management, their approach to free agency, bad drafting, especially in 23 and 24, bad coaching, and then, injuries. There are all bigger reasons, but I do find it so interesting that, this NFL is sort of at war with on-field confrontation and taunting, and they want everything so wholesome, and they don't want the players going, at each other too much. And, internally they're so conscious of bulletin board material, but here you have your owner and GM out there just banging the drum as loud as possible. But I do think there's a chance the Cowboys can win because not just Micah, but the entire Packers, defensive line, I think, is geared much more towards pass rush than stopping the run. And if there is a path to victory, it's that. TJ Bass and Brock Hoffman are actually pretty good backup running offensive linemen. And if you can get the run game going and, have a game where Dak only has to throw it 20 or 25 times, you limit those opportunities. You keep Micah Parsons guessing, right? You beat him a couple of times on a screen. You beat him a couple of times in the run game or an RPO. All of a sudden, he's got to think twice. Maybe his ears aren't pinned back if you're having success running the ball. And you get a couple of big plays, play action. But even that wouldn't be enough. You still need to win the turnover margin probably by 2, and you're going to need a special teams play to win this game.
Well, everything you're talking about is what they should have done last week. So hopefully they learn their damn lesson. I mean, Jerry's never going to learn his. Let's be honest. And when we talk about this and everything that's so different about this era, and this isn't new, and that's why it's not news, because Bill Belichick is in the headlines not for what he's not doing on the football field. It's for banning the Patriots and then talking crap on Twitter with Lombardi and crew. Everybody is doing it. You don't need a 24-year-old girlfriend, and you don't need to be an 80-plus-year-old owner of a team who has more money than God with a Netflix series. Everybody is in on the bulletin board because you're competing for eyes on. And I think that's really what this comes back to with Jerry is, anybody who's given up on the Cowboys, anybody who thinks it's just going to be a massacre and you don't need to pay attention, no, not so fast. We got a plan. And when you think about Spanford, when you think about Lepke, when you think about play action, RPOs, all the things you just talked about, screen game, how about we just line up Smash Mouth and punch this dude in the chin? What did Mike Tyson say? You went boxing on it. You saw the new Nike ad. They got him talking about golf for Ryder Cup. Let's bring Tyson into this. Everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face. Micah's plan on Sunday night is to come out and hunt Dak. What happens if you don't even give him that chance?
I love it, man. I want to go after Micah Parsons up next here on Bout Wow.
Love the horsey.
We got defensive reinforcements, brother. Let me go ahead and share the screen just to confirm it here for you. Oh, that's always nice.
Okay. Let's go to the rack, man. They got a lot of good stuff.
Oh, my God. Can we surf the internet, please? And we got a pop-up video going on with Shoddy. It's probably causing buffering. Thank you.
Pop-up video.
I guess you got to make money however you can in a decreasing newspaper industry. But here's the news: Clowney, Diggs, Bland expected to play. Obviously, Diggs has been playing. We just need him to play better, not slip, not get crushed. But yeah, Clowney and Bland is really the story here. And I found it interesting throughout the week. There's just not a lot of excitement or belief. I think when sentiment gets down and you got lit up like they have the last 2 weeks and you're sitting there at 1-2, it's kind of hard for any good news to move the needle. And when you're rolling and winning, it's kind of hard for any bad news to take away the confidence. But I think we're sleeping on this one, man. I think getting your real best corner back, because Bland is significantly better than Diggs at this point in their careers, and then adding probably your best pass rusher. And if you're going off the tape and the numbers from last year, Clowney's better than anybody that's been out there the first 3 weeks. Let me add to that. Ezraku's due for his first sack. He's figuring stuff out. He's a pro. He's got all the traits. Ezraku's going to get it figured out. Nealon showed you some stuff earlier in the career, hasn't been there. I think Sam Williams and Dante Fowler have a prove-it game ahead of them as well. So, I think maybe Clowney can be that match that gets you a spark here for the pass rush playing better. And then on the back end, Bland and Hooker and Wilson, these guys all have a lot of experience playing with each other.
What you were talking about at the beginning of your take, when it's going good, it's hard to let the negativity can get kept at bay. When it's going bad, it's hard to come back around and, lead the charge. I love it. Yes. Get it. Are you already hurting? Did you play something?
No, I'm all right. I'm going to stop it there before I do get hurt.
The momentum-based, narratives, the momentum-based headlines, the momentum-based conversations in the locker room and throughout the week getting ready for a game like this. Last week was so bad that you had to go back and do some shorts to show the world how awesome our guy Dak still was. And the bleep you balls.
BTTs.
Right? So what gets lost in blowouts, what gets lost in something that turns Caleb Williams into the NFC Player of the Week, when I think there were as many people, if not more, coming into that week talking about him potentially being a bust or headed that direction over being a truly generational force, where at the very least you had people checking those, screaming from the rooftops, generational talent. Come on, are we really going there? And they made him look like the prince that was promised. And what you have to take into account there was who was getting burnt toast. What you have to take into account there, and I say this with a grain of salt, folks all over the content ecosystem talking about the high school, the college, and even high school. Some folks were like, this is high school level BS, where Eberflus came out and said, we're taking this down to one word, code word, one word plays. I just want to say to everybody, did you see Tom Brady talking about Hoss 2Y Juke or Hoss Z Juke and his favorite play in his career, where he was talking about calling it Jordan and Ali? If it was right, it was Jordan because it's got an R. If it was left, it was Ali because it's got an L. One word play calls are the norm, even on Sunday, even with Tom Brady level stuff, because you want to play fast. What this is about is not having to think, because you're at a talent deficit. And then even if all things are equal, that all it takes is one heartbeat. What we saw with Diggs last week, that one slip, and it's bye-bye time. So
I was listening to Joel Klatt on the way. Oh, sorry. I thought you ended your point there, but I was listening to Joel Klatt on the way down, and he was describing passing schemes and getting into plays and saying, some plays are just called lion or dragon, and that's it. And everybody knows all their jobs.
And with this generation too, with going back to like loading playbooks on Xbox or PlayStation on down through, when Cam Newton was the first one where it was like at Auburn with Gus Malzahn. The Malzahn to Todd Dodge. You look at some of these extremely successful high school guys who become college guys, who even become pro guys in a certain respect. It's numbers. Like a lot of times the play call is just 17 or 6. And in the Mike Leach, as extensive as Mike Lee's playbook was, remember the joke was it was like he had a little note card and that was it, because he would just call, like the play was called 6. And what that meant was everyone runs a vertical route, but it doesn't just mean they run a go ball. You adjust on the fly to what the defense does with the coverage. So if you're running a 9 or a go or a fly or whatever it is, and they drop into quarters or cover 2 or anything in between, you sit down in the hole. And you're trying to just simplify things. And what's been lost, I think, since Oxnard is the excitement that we had because of all of the things. We talked about motion pre-snap. And it was over 70% of the plays. We talked, is it going to be Pickens at X and CD and Z? Is CD going to be in the slot? Who's going to be the third wide receiver? Is it going to be 12 and 13? And all these other things. When do we see Jaden? They still haven't landed on the thing they do best because they're doing so many things well that they haven't had to hang their hat. And all we've seen them do is come up just a little bit short against Philly week 1, the game they should have won, and then figure out ways to get it done until the wheels came off. Like, let's not forget, they were right there. And I truly believe had they just been stubborn with Javonte Williams in a couple of situations last week, they probably still lose that game and Chicago still probably pulls away. But we don't feel as bad about ourselves heading into Micah Parsons week.
Yeah, I wouldn't have been surprised if it would have been a normal game situation. They could have kept running Javonte Williams. If they could have come back and made that a much more interesting game, I don't think 31-14 really is representative of how that game went. But, I mean, you were talking there about quarters and the different defensive alignments they've been in, and I think that's the biggest problem is not enough time on task in that system. Hey, buddy, yeah, come on in. Sorry, we're doing a podcast over here, so if you needed this bench.
Nope, not at all. Just filling up the water.
Just let me know. But we were talking Dallas Cowboys football here. We were talking about the bust that they had against the Giants and the Bears, and I think a lot of that is that you have a bust in Elam and undrafted guys who are trying to run what Eberflus did well. And Donovan Wilson has always been a cover 1, cover 3 guy. So you're putting him out there in quarters and looking back at that tape, bro. So much of it was an issue with him making the read on the second receiver on his side. And it's totally foreign to him, right? And quarters is such a popular defense. Like, if you're a defensive coordinator out there and you're not trying to install that and figure it out, you're operating at a disadvantage. I think it was a big time learning experience for Eberflus and determining what his personnel can do. I think you go to Wanye Thomas this week if you want to go with any two deep safety looks.
Well, and let's not forget that in Eberflus's system, one of the things that can get you into trouble when you have to go into the depth chart, one of the things that can get you into trouble when you have to play fast or you have new guys trying to talk to each other and another team gets going a little bit, is that it's not just 2-4-6 or 1-3-5-7. It's match inside of that. And so when you have what becomes man coverage principles built into your zone-based system, that is a way to confuse the quarterback post-snap when it clicks.
You got to do it.
When it doesn't click,
that's
when you get wide open dudes running free.
Yeah. And I don't think the players that they have can really execute anything at a high level, at least what they've had without Daron Bland and Trayvon Diggs at this level and Kyer Elam at this level. But I would hope that the coaching staff wouldn't be forever deterred from it. I hope they're thinking, dude, if we can't run this defense, we need better personnel.
Right. Yeah. And that's where things get really interesting in this week and then going forward. Is we always talk about the best ability being availability. And we get into these traits-based conversations about a Murray versus a Sanborn and who's run the seam. And right now, they don't have a guy who does that comfortably, and they also don't have a guy who really has the traits to do it. Murray's the closest one, but he just can't do it, never been asked to do it, doesn't do it well. He needs to play downhill. So, like, when you look at your team, you can't just say, okay, 6'2", 250, 4'5", 2, or whatever the numbers are of your middle linebacker and say, this is going to be a cover 2 guy. Some guys have all the traits and just can't play a certain way. And to try to make them do that is a disservice to them as a player. One of the big problems with Kenneth Murray right now is he's not in a heat-seeking missile mode. So the same way the corners are thinking and misreading, he's thinking and misstepping. If you can put him in a position where he is hunting headshots, he's a different player. And this whole thing—
You need Overshown back.
What's that?
You need Overshown back.
Because it's about the cerebral nature of the thing until you turn dudes loose. And the thing about momentum-based conversations is that when the defense heats up, the defense makes a few plays in a row, when the defense starts dictating tempo and they're able to get a bead, get a read, force you to play fast, force you to not run trick plays that work, and actually blow some of that stuff up, it resets the entirety of this conversation.
It really does. And let's reset the subject here on How About Wow? Or segue into a new one. This is a Clayton Adams appreciation post.
Love it. Love it.
Arizona ranks bottom 10 in rush EPA success rate and explosiveness this season after finishing top 10 in all 3 in 2024. We did a video during the summer of the Clayton Adams running system, and it's really not a system. It's just an understanding that you absolutely must figure out what your players are capable of and then change your running scheme to fit that. And he did it so well with Arizona last year, got the attention of Brian Schottenheimer. Obviously, James Conner is hurt, but, this just goes to how confident I am in the offensive coaching staff right now. Shoddy, Adams, Connor Riley, some of the other guys. And we'll see on defense, We'll see. I think some of it is these guys are struggling to learn. Some of it is their third different defensive coordinator really over the last 20 calendar months. It's tough to keep transitioning like that without continuity from the message and the coaching.
And let's not forget one thing. Chicago Bears went out and spent a ton of money up front to protect Caleb Williams and help him actualize his potential. Let's not forget that the Eagles are the defending champs who just keep finding the most annoying ways to win. Like, the other guys are getting paid too. And on any given Sunday is not just a cliche, right? Look what happened with Green Bay just last week against Cleveland. Everyone thinks the Browns are going to be in the competition for the number 1 pick and they're going to be drafting quarterbacks all over again. The Browns are going out there and beating people. And if you want to talk about bulletin board material, Myles Garrett is sitting in front of the mic like you and me right now saying, we have the privilege of finding out how good we are. So they're not lacking for confidence. And that's every team scheme from week to week. So what we have here is an opportunity to rewrite this narrative. What we have here is an opportunity to remind ourselves that when you look at the schedule upcoming, even a loss this week puts you coming out of week 6 with 3-3 and everything's still in front of you. Everyone jumping off the bus because of one game. Remember when everyone quit on the Patriots and Brady and Belichick because they did dirty early? They went on and won the Super Bowl that season. They were calling for Brady to get benched after everything he had done. I mean, this is such a what have you done for me lately world that we live in, with the dopamine hits in the feed that you can just scroll and then click until you find what makes you feel some kind of way. Dak Prescott is on the MVP medal stand. He is in the top 5 right now, and he is not number 5. I don't care what anybody says. And as long as you have a quarterback playing like that, you got a chance.
All right, final topic here. How about Wow? The Sunday show going into Cowboys and Packers. Got some shoddy for you, presser. You want to talk about chicken soup for your Cowboys soul, reasons to be optimistic in the Cowboys coaching staff, maybe the Cowboys quarterback GOAT interrupting the press.
Sure, yeah, I mean, again, if we can get ahead of oh my goodness gracious, I will stop what I'm doing for this.
This is my favorite coach.
Hey, all right, hold on to the next one, right? How you doing, man? It's good to see you. You doing all right?
Hold every day. I thought maybe you could use me, but I guess not.
Go get fitted up. Go see Bucky and Mike. Go get fitted up. You look good.
I can still throw.
Yeah. Hey, you always good. And I never worry about your legs, right?
I get upset every time. I'm such a Cowboy fan, so Coach, I'm for you.
I appreciate you, man. Seriously, really do.
It was
Yeah, great seeing you, man.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, I just love it. I love Roger Staubach, but you're my favorite coach. I'm for you. I think Roger recognizes the greatness of what Shoddy's cooking up.
Yeah, and there's potential is such a dangerous word. I think for a lot of my life, I hated it because it meant that you weren't anything right now. It meant that you maybe weren't ever going to get to that place so desired in your heart. And but it's a word that as I've gotten older, you get married, you have kids, and you think about what potential really is, and what you're really talking about is length, right? When you talk about traits at all, you're talking about projecting what something could be based on not just what it is, but what it's going to become. And when you look at Schottenheimer's trajectory, there are so many situations. He's been in so many circumstances. He's had so much real life NFL football adversity that you just look at this and go, man, if some of these things could break right, if you get luck from the football gods with fumbles, if you get any injury luck and a return to norms just based on league-wide trends and your best guys, like if anything is ever equal, Shoddy is one of those dudes that you absolutely believe has the tools to get you where you want to go.
Yeah, and I think you can already see it with some of the big runs they've popped with the pet play, the counter pet play they have with the power going through the C gap. But more than, schematically, I think you can look at his success they've had in the draft already, finding great athletes with traits that love football. I think that's going to do wonders for your culture. But I think maybe the biggest thing might be the penalties. And we talked for pretty much all of Mike McCarthy's tenure as Cowboys head coach, like, why can't he instill some discipline? And we saw it in Oxnard several times, Shoddy trying to get the guys to be able to play to the edge and then stop themselves to sort of condition that level of discipline, that I'm not going to do something stupid after the whistle. And I think there's benefits to exercising that mental muscle, making you more disciplined, making you more focused on exactly what the task is. Now, you still have a talent deficiency, and I guess Wednesday's practice wasn't the best practice. Apparently, they had to restart it after the first 10 or 15 minutes.
They hated it,
which sucks, And but I love that Shoddy's on top of it. Shoddy's not going to let that go, like a lot of coaches. Let's call them Micah McCarthy and Wade Phillips would say, the boys will be boys. Just make sure you're bringing it on Sunday, guys. It was that kind of horse crap that I think is coaches really afraid of accepting the challenge of coaching grown men who are millionaires.
You just got me afraid in my feelings a little bit, because that sounded more like Barry Switzer than anybody else. Holy cow. PTSD. Boys will be boys. Just get
yeah.
Right
that was a bad Wade Phillips, Mike McCarthy impression. It's definitely not my fastball.
Going
hold me accountable, New Bear.
Yeah, well, I mean, I just want to see, from the ginger variety in year 23 of me, this is supposed to be, an Irish week with the Steelers. And
more of a salt and pepper look these days.
You've changed now, so you've got to expand the repertoire, right? Get off my lawn, Dawson says. So thinking about, the application of culture, we talked about going back to the summer, eventually, even in the game of musical chairs with the locker room assignments, everyone talks about how, like, eventually the music stops playing and someone gets left without a chair, and you're all kind of just left standing there addressing it, saying, you're like, what are we? Who are we? What are we going to be when we grow up? And there's going to be growing pains, right? There's going to be change. And especially when you come into a situation where you're inheriting injuries, you're inheriting contract disputes, you're inheriting the Micah Parsons experience. And the great thing about Sunday night under those lights is that after Carrie Underwood does her thing, and for the record, the reason I keep bringing her up isn't because I'm just obsessed with her because she's an absolute smoke show. It's because my daughter wants to be a singer when she grows up, and she knows all the words to every one of her songs, and it just makes me really happy that football brings you together in so many different ways, right? So when that happens on Sunday night, what did we start this show talking about? What Jerry Jones said. There was a lot of truth in those words. So we're going to talk about chips. We're going to talk about earhole shots. We're going to talk about prize fight. We're going to talk about the back and forth of RPO. We're going to talk about screens. We're going to talk about running right at this guy. and we're going to find out. And that's what's so great about this game is that, if you're the strongest link, like Micah thinks he is, they're going to come for you. And if you're the weakest link, they're going to design stuff around you to exploit that. And everyone in between has to play their role. And I go back to Kenny Clark. I know some dudes clapped at me in the comments about how no one's talking about him. Everyone's talking about him because the Packers freaking love this guy. And he loved being a Green Bay Packer. And his mom and his girl and everyone in his circle were pissed. Hot was the word that they used, that this trade happened. And he's out to show that he's healthy and he's still got plenty left in the tank and shut down Jacobs in their running game. Like Micah Parsons is the headliner. He's the biggest head on the movie poster. But there's a whole lot of stars in this ensemble cast.
There is, and there's reasons to believe. I think it starts with Kenny Clark and Osa and Solomon Thomas up the middle. I mean, the Packers' offensive line is not great, so can you get penetration? I don't think Jordan Love plays great with pressure. They don't have the wide receivers that you faced against the Giants or really even the Bears. It's a bunch of 600- and 700-yard guys that you got to contain and to get Daron Bland back. That being said, New Bear, before we wrap this thing up, I need your official prediction. Mine is 30-13. That's with the Cowboys having 13 points and the Packers having 30. I have hope, but not a lot of belief right now.
So you see this going much the same way where they run away like the Bears did last week, huh? I've been thinking a lot about.
I think their defense is too much for this compromised offensive line with the way Guyton and Steele are playing.
I've been thinking a lot about how this game goes in terms of game flow, and what I'm most interested to see is, do they play a little bend but don't break? Do they do a death by 1,000 paper cuts? Does this become, an 8 or 9 possession game where it's a much lower scoring game than you anticipate with the fireworks that both of these teams are capable of? The opposite of that is, of course, getting up and down together, where neither defense is really able to figure it out and both offenses are able to make enough plays. And this turns into a bit of a shootout where, does Green Bay just have more players, or do they turn and capitalize on turnover or something to that effect? I want to believe, if we're going to talk the talk that we've talked about Schottenheimer and his genius level ability, what his potential, what his ceiling truly is, if this can be a 20 plus carry, 25 touch game for Javonte Williams, where they are able to dictate tempo, even if they don't slow things down, and just out execute in the red zone, outdo Green Bay at the things that they're capable of. Like, I want to go into Sunday night thinking this is a game where they have a plan for Micah Parsons, and this is a game where they have a plan to control the game in totality. And you see this with Brandon Aubrey lining up at the end to put one through the uprights and put Dallas in a position to come out of these next 2 weeks in complete control of their own destiny. So I'm in a place where it's more like a 27-24, 24-21 Cowboys figuring this one out and setting themselves up to look back at the end of the year, where this is the game that we all look back at and say, this is when they figured out who they were. And so this is why they are where they end up at the end of the year.
You must like the Cowboys plus 6.5. How About Wow brought to you by Bet Online. Link in the description up to $250 in bonus bets. We did a full-on video yesterday, more approaching how we want the Cowboys to attack Micah Parsons. If you want to go back and watch that, you want more Cowboys-Packers content, please do that. We have our shorts every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. We upload the Wow Factor, taking a look at the biggest plays from Cowboys game day and grading them 1 to 10 on how much wow they brought. Okay, so we'll be back on Monday with overreactions, and then midweek with tape takeaways. And before too long, we'll be previewing Week 5. For New Bear, I'm Dawson. Till next time, how about wow?